Two studies in 2 days paint strikingly different pictures of Milwaukee's school choice program. On Tuesday, the Department of Public Instruction stated Milwaukee Public Schools outperformed choice schools. But on Wednesday, the official study commissioned by the state of Wisconsin showed high school students at choice schools have better graduation and college placement rates than high school students at MPS. Dr. Patrick Wolf explains why the two studies were so different.
Longitudinal studies have a major benefit over snapshot studies like the DPI report because we can basically look at achievement gains for similar students over time. The DPI report is just of one set of students in one point of time. And the other important thing about the DPI report is they focus mainly on proficiency, on whether individual students exceeded the standard for proficiency in subjects. So they reported proficiency rates for the schools. And sometimes that's a rather blunt measure of achievement. I mean, a student could score a 74, and if 75 is the proficiency rate, they're counted as a 0. Whereas if they score 1 point more, they're counted as a 1. We prefer to use average scale scores. They're developmental scores. They're very reliable measures of achievement. And so we use a different measure of achievement. We track the same students over time. Now, our results aren't dramatically different from what DPI reported. We find no significant difference in the achievement of the gains of the voucher students over 3 years compared to similar MPS students. I know that the DPI study suggested there might even be a negative effect of the program in math. We certainly see none of that in our data tracking similar students over time.
School choice advocates also question DPI's method of measuring achievement. Their study used test results from the Wisconsin Knowledge Concepts Examination, a test even DPI says is deeply flawed. There is also the question of motive. It was an open secret a study would be released on Wednesday showing school choice in a favorable light. When DPI released their study 1 day prior, it caught school choice advocates off guard. This political academic maneuvering is not surprising, given how polarizing the issue of school choice is and the fact what happens in Wisconsin could determine what happens in other states.
You know, Milwaukee is home to the longest running and largest urban school voucher programs. There's a school voucher program in Florida that's statewide that's larger. But in terms of a concentrated area where parents have a lot of school choices, Milwaukee is perhaps exceptional. I mean, you also have New Orleans, which had its public school system wiped out by an act of God, and they've rebuilt it based on principles of school choice. But in Milwaukee, school choice developed organically over a long period of time with a lot of fits and starts and twists and turns. So that makes it a really fascinating place to evaluate these kinds of programs.
Dr. Wolf says he and other researchers will continue their comprehensive look at school choice schools in Milwaukee for at least another year.
I think the most important thing, we set out to do a comprehensive study where we'd look at all aspects of school choice in Milwaukee. And I think our results prove how important that is. We find some positive effects in some areas. We find no effects in other areas. We find important developments in some areas that explain what we're finding in other areas, like the fact that some excellent voucher schools left the voucher program and converted to charter. And then we see really positive effects among those charter schools. So I think it's very important to avoid really limited reports and very limited views of what the voucher program is and is not accomplishing. And we try to be more comprehensive and provide the big picture.
For the MacIver Institute, I'm Bill Osmulski.